It's Ken Harbaugh with Against All Enemies on the Midas Touch Network. We've got a massively important presidential debate coming up. And I, for one, think that Joe Biden is going to crush Donald Trump. That is, if the former president doesn't back out. But even within the pro-democracy coalition, there is a ton of apprehension about President Biden as our nominee. I've felt for a while that we need to get over that. And I hope that this upcoming debate convinces everyone else, by that I mean those who want to beat Donald Trump in November, that it's time to get on board and move beyond whatever past grievances they may have had with the party and with Joe Biden. I invited Andrew Yang on Burn the Boats to have this discussion, and it got a little heated at times. As you may know, Andrew Yang left the Democratic Party to found a third party, the Forward Party. I maintained then, and still do, that in the political moment we currently face, we cannot indulge third-party projects like the Forward Party or No Labels until we defeat Trumpism and the extremist MAGA movement. Andrew and I actually agreed on quite a bit. Our full interview comes out soon, but I wanted to excerpt this part ahead of the upcoming debate and the primaries that are occurring on June 25th, because I just want to be on the record to say that Joe Biden is going to defy all of those diminished expectations. He's going to embarrass Donald Trump. And when he does, the pro-democracy forces, including those desperate to see a third-party alternative, need to rally behind the candidate who is going to crush Donald Trump in November. Here's me and Andrew Yang on Joe Biden, the upcoming debate, and the November elections.
I do believe that if the Democrats had a nominee that did not have major drawbacks with the majority of Americans, they would beat Trump easily.
And you don't think there are opportunities to turn this around? And let me give you a hypothetical based on an actual experience. There's this narrative about Joe Biden that he's not up to the job. There's a real chance that that is going to blow up in the Republicans' face. And you saw a glimpse of that immediately after the State of the Union, in which he so humiliated the Republican hecklers that they had to invent yet another conspiracy theory that he was on drugs. I'm trying to picture the upcoming debate in which Americans have been told that Joe Biden is a certain version of their drooling grandpa, and he crushes Donald Trump because the setting is favorable to him, and the lie is put to this whole Republican conspiracy theory.
And I think that people, after this, they see Trump for more than an hour straight, will be like, wow, he has some issues
With you.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's though even with an exceptional State of the Union performance, Joe's numbers settled down to where they were maybe 2 weeks later, and so the issue really is what can change the dynamic. I agree, a good debate performance on June 27th would be a win for the president. It's one reason why they scheduled it then, because it's highly unusual, by the way, to have debates that early. And the format does favor Joe Biden. It's an opportunity. It's interesting. I mean, that there needs to be something that does change the dynamic. Interestingly, I do think the more people pay attention to Trump, the better it'll look for Joe, because Trump is really slipping. Both these guys have seen better days.
I think the Biden campaign is resting a lot on that, and I think they're right to, because at the end of the day, this is a vote, this is an election about Trump. And frankly, it should be, because of everything he said, because of everything he wants to do in a second Trump term. Do you really want a retributive president to have the nuclear button come 2025?
I do not. I don't want
hypothetical question.
Yeah, no, I do. I don't want someone who's going to be trying to go on a revenge tour, testing the limits of what the government can do. Never has to run for re-election again, and so we'll just try and leave a trail of destruction. I mean, it's very dark. These are dark times, Ken. I'm saddened. Just about every day, I'm saddened that we're having this kind of challenge on the horizon, and obviously a challenge that I see is very formidable, very high stakes, and unfortunately quite winnable for Trump, who I think, again, would be catastrophic.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I have been so humbled by the support of this audience and the speed at which this show has grown. You are why I and the whole team here do this. If you're interested in bonus content, check out my Patreon page. It's free to sign up, and there's an option to donate as well. The link is right there and in the show notes. Thanks again. Tell me what the Forward Party is up to between now and November. I would imagine there's a bit of internal, maybe not friction, but this idea that we've got long-term plans, but we also have a house that's on fire.
Oh, yeah. So we're backing some great candidates, Ken. I'm super excited about John Avlon in New York's 1st District, who's running as a Democrat. His primary is June 25th, if anyone is in that neck of the woods. John Curtis, who's running for Mitt Romney's old Senate seat in Utah. And so this is an example of something that Democrats will ignore, but it's hugely important. So there are 11 candidates running for Mitt Romney's old Senate seat in the Republican primary. 8 of them have endorsed Donald Trump. The 9th is a guy named John Curtis, who started the Conservative Climate Caucus because he knows climate change is real, even though he has an R next to his name. And because it's an 11-person primary, there's a real chance that John Curtis wins and prevents Mitt Romney's successor from being a MAGA stooge. Now, if you're a Democrat, you might think, well, John Curtis has an R next to his name, so he bad. But if there's like a sane Republican running against the MAGA crew, then you have to back the sane Republican. And the Democrats actually might even get on board with this one because there's no competitive general election. So this isn't a situation where it's like, oh, let me elevate the bad person because they're more beatable or whatnot. If you have any friends in Utah, get them behind John Curtis because you'd much rather have a principled non-Trump senator out of Utah than Mike Lee, the sequel. There's an independent congressional candidate in North Carolina named Shalane Etchison, who's a Special Forces veteran. Yep. She's awesome. You should have her on. Adam Frisch, who managed to drum Lauren Boebert out of that Colorado district. And then local candidates in Nevada, Pennsylvania, where I'm heading next week, Florida, all over the country, who just want to make good things happen for the people. And again, are not beholden to special interests. So if that sounds like an appealing suite, please do check out forwardparty.com and get involved. You might even wind up a chapter leader.
Now, I've said before, and I'll reiterate it here, I do not think that now is the time to indulge these third-party projects like the Forward Party. But to Andrew Yang's credit, he recognizes Donald Trump for the threat he is, the existential threat to democracy that he poses, and the Forward Party seems to be behaving accordingly. They're supporting Democratic candidates and at least one Republican who isn't an election denier. I think if we can at least agree on that, we're winning. If we agree that the basic requirement of political parties in America is to respect the outcomes of elections, we're actually winning the argument against the MAGA movement. To drive home that point, I'll leave you with this montage of Republican after Republican refusing to state unequivocally that they will accept the results of the November election. This is what we have to beat.
Well, Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
At the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump. And I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you could ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election results.
Here's the challenge.
Will you commit to accepting the election results?
This is why so many Americans believe that NBC is an extension of the Democrat Party. At the end of the day, I've said what I've said, and I know that the American people, their voices will be heard, and I believe that President Trump will be our next president. It's that simple.
But, Senator, as you know, the hallmark of our democracy is that both candidates agree to a peaceful transfer of power. So I'm asking you, as a potential VP nominee, will you accept to commit to the election results in this election cycle, no matter who wins? Just simply yes or no.
I expect President Trump to win the next election. Listen, I'm not going to answer your hypothetical question when, in fact, I believe the American people are speaking today on the results of the election. And if it continues for the next 6 months, we find ourselves in a great position where we get back to another century of American prosperity.
In 2024, will you certify the election results? Do you plan to object, or will you accept the results regardless of who wins the election?
So, Caitlin, I got to say, I think that's actually a ridiculous question.
It's a yes or no question, though.
No, it's not. Let me explain why it's a ridiculous question. It's not a question. You've ever asked a Democrat that?
Of course.
What Democrat?
But what Democrats?
Hold on a second. What Democrats challenge it?
What Democrats? I know. I've been down this road many times.
But
no Democrat. You cannot compare the two situations. We have talked about that. We've seen the audio of that when they protested on the Senate floor.
Hold on a second.
But has you ever had a sitting president who refused to facilitate the peaceful transition of power, refused to acknowledge that his successor won the presidency?
So, we did have a peaceful transfer of power. I was there on January 20th. I was there on the swearing in.
Barely.
Will you accept the election results of 2024, no matter what happens, Senator?
No matter what happens? No, if it's an unfair election, I think it's going to be contested by either side.
Senator, no matter who wins.
I think you're asking the wrong person. The Democrats are the ones that have opposed every Republican victory since 2000. Every single one. It's Hillary Clinton.
No Democrat has refused to concede. Hillary Clinton conceded. Senator, will you accept the election results?
Hillary Clinton said the election was stolen from her and that Trump was illegitimate. Kamala Harris agreed.
Senator,
we have Democrats now.
Senator, she conceded the election. She said that Trump was illegitimate. She said that the election had been stolen. Kamala Harris agreed. By the way, there are Democrats serving in Congress today who in 2004 voted not to certify the Ohio electors because they said those machines had been tampered with. And you have Democrats now saying they won't certify 2024 because Trump is an insurrectionist and ineligible to hold office. So you need to ask them. I think you've had have you ever asked a Democrat this question on your show? Senator,
I bet you've never asked a Democrat that question.